Hey guys, Halloween Dan here, doing a really quick video today. Today, focusing on our second build of the season, or third, depending on how you want to count it, but I'm counting it as my second main build. This time, we are focusing on tombstones, or a tombstone I should say, because this isn't just a tombstone. Yes, it is a tombstone, and I'm going to use many of the ideas and things I've used in past years to try and make that tombstone look as real as possible. But also, I'm going to attempt to make this a moving prop. A very basic moving prop. I'm going to just basically create just enough movement. That's what I want to do, is to create a tombstone that just has a tiny bit of movement in it, kind of like a jolting movement of jolting movement to make it look like something's pushing up underneath and it's just sort of moving over and stuff. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. I've never done anything like this before, but I've got an idea and I'm going to run with it. So let's see how this goes. So you join me and Finn at the start of another project. Today's project is tombstones. We are making tombstones out of foam once again. Once again, we're using the same foam we used last year for making our tombstones, which turned out pretty good. Some of the techniques that I wanted to use didn't work perfectly because this must be a different kind of foam to what you guys have in the US. But more or less, most of the techniques worked. So I'm hoping to use them again. The slight difference with the tombstone we're making today, this is going to be the tombstone, so I've got to peel the foil off that piece yet. This part is going to be a base. It's going to be a base that the tombstone actually stands in. And the reason this is an important feature is because what I'm attempting to do, God knows how it's going to turn out, is make a moving tombstone. A tombstone that just ever so slightly tilts. As if something's trying to pop up from underneath it. Now the way I'm going to do this is basically to use a great big bolt like this one to create a form of a hinge going through one side of the base all the way through to the other side of the base, and obviously going through the tombstone in the center, something for the tombstone to move back and forward on. And then I'm going to use my trusty old battery operated power drill, which I've had for many years and has been involved in many haunts now one way or another, to try and move the tombstone. Now this is a prototype, I suppose you'd call it. At this stage I'm just trying to see if in principle I can get it to work. What do we call this kind of thing, Finn? You've made one of these before?
A cam?
A cam, yeah. So this is a very basic cam that when rotated very, very slowly and put underneath the base, the opposite end to where it's hinged on the tombstone, should allow the tombstone to just move very slightly up and down. But it is a bit of a work in practice, so we have no idea whether this is going to work. So let's see how it goes. So here's our prototype. This is literally, we've just put this together. The plants are not a part of it. We're just using them to weigh down the front. When I actually put this outside, what I'm going to have to do is get some reinforced bar through the tops of this all the way down into the ground to hold this, because the base is what's holding it down basically. If I hold it in place, it won't move too much. But in terms of a movement, that's really all I wanted to get. I obviously haven't shaped the tombstone yet, which is what I'm next going to do. But just that bit of movement where you get the tombstone moving ever so slightly. You can see at the minute we've got the bolt going through, holding the tombstone in place there. All this has been glued, but I'm gonna still got to shape it all and everything. And then round the back there's just a knot, which I might have to tighten up a little bit more. And then you've got the drill. So again, like I said, this is prototype we're at here. This isn't how it's officially gonna look when it's finished. I just wanted to see that in principle it worked. This too, whatever I do choose to do with the drill, probably something like this, but maybe more covered, that's going to have to be weighted down to stop the drill from moving about too much. But I think you can see that in principle, the idea works. Once it's all properly held in place, and as long as the drill is fully charged, we should get this ever so slight movement of the tombstone, which is really all I was trying to achieve. So here we are, we're at the stage now where we've actually got the tombstone looking a bit more like a tombstone. We've cut the top off, giving it this kind of big bump, little bump look with the name Buried Alive, 1798 to 1832. I was only sleeping. I've actually carved this out this time with a Dremel. It wasn't too bad. I've never used a Dremel before. It definitely made the whole thing a lot quicker. We then added some cracks and some sort of scalped off details to sort of make it a bit old and a bit battered. Now we're gonna do a bit of aging. We're gonna paint the tombstone and once it's dry, age the tombstone. The only thing is I am planning to do with this a bit of monster mud. Now I've never made monster mud before, so this is going to be very experimental, but I think it should work out pretty well. So let's see how it goes. So we finished painting the tombstone and its base, which is over here in our sort of our version of monster mud. I did have a go at making monster mud. We made a very thick batch of monster mud. We used tile grout adhesive and mixed that with some grey undercoat paint, which is oil based, so it's interior and exterior, so it is exterior based paint mixed with tile grout. It made this very sort of, at first I couldn't really see any grains in it and it didn't look particularly good. So I threw in a bit of sand. Threw a bit of sand in there too, my favourite component to this sort of stuff. And I have to say though, what we've ended up with is very good. I really quite like it. It's very thick. I really kind of like it. It's definitely given a much better stone effect than I ever got on anything else I've created. You definitely get the texture of stone. Some of that is through the sand, but some of that is definitely the tile grout. And this, where it's dried, it is really rock hard. It is really solid, and it definitely gives a very good stone effect. The base is still just drying. Half of it was done yesterday. The other half you can see was done today. And then once these two have finished drying, it's time to do my favourite bit, which is the aging, where I will first of all wash all the sort of details with some black and strip black down the stone. Then we'll add some green, then we'll add some hints of brown. I might let it dry and do a dry coat of some white for highlighting this time. I don't know, we'll just see. But either way, I'm quite happy with how it's looking so far. So here we are. We've pretty much finished, actually. There are a few... We've pretty much finished. It's a bit dark, which is why I put my light on, but I just wanted to show you guys that we are at the stage now where there are finishing touches to it, but in general, I'm pretty pleased with it. Finishing touches like where you can still see foam down there, but in general, I think it's pretty good. We've aged the stone. The stone's got some greens and some browns and some blacks going on. We've put black in the cracks and stuff, and I darkened the lettering so you can see the name a bit better. And as you can see, we've got it working with our drill at the back. The back part again is another thing we need to affect, and I've not quite finished with the cam that we've got driving this thing. I want to adapt that a little bit better so it doesn't squeak so much. But in general, I think you get the gist. I think this is a pretty good project, and I think the idea is a sound one. It definitely looks like a tombstone moving as if something from underneath it is pushing it up, and I'm quite happy with the look overall, I have to say. Like I say, finishing touches to it and things I have to adapt a little bit, but overall, very happy with it. So here it is, finished in the cold light of day. I have to say, I'm quite happy with the way it looks. I really am. Even static and not moving, I think it looks pretty awesome. I'm very, very, very pleased with the stone effect finish. I wasn't sure at first I liked it. I wasn't sure it actually looked very good, and the mixture I made maybe was just a little bit too thick. You can see in places where it's really sort of had been plastered on. But I think the look is pretty good. I'm quite happy with it. I like I think we got the mixture of greens and blacks to sort of age this thing just right this time. I'm always worried that I've either gone overboard or not enough, and I think I might have got it just right. I like the black of the cracks have worked quite well. This sort of where it's kind of spilt out down here, you can kind of see it kind of looks really like, ooh, dirt has washed out of that crack, which is a really good thing. That's something I was looking to do. Overall, I'm very pleased with it. The movement side of it, I think I could have got the movement a little bit better. I could have had a bit more of a more smooth movement. I'm still toying with that. I've still got bugs to try and iron out. I've still got things I want to do better with that. I think I can adjust it better, so we'll just have to see about that. But in terms of an actual tombstone, and yes, it does, it does move, so that works. So I'm quite happy with it. I didn't know what I was doing, to be quite honest with you, or I was making it up as I went along, but I think it's worked out pretty well, and I hope you agree. So I will see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep it spooky. Bye.